I don't agree. Stand up for yourself and get what you need. Go to the hospital, go to the doctor, go to the naturopath. I don't care who you go to. It's your body. You be in charge. Research after the fact that D3 is cholecalciferol, and that is what they put in decon rat poisoning, which shouldn't shock anybody because they've been using warfarin rat poisoning, which they labeled as Coumadin for many years as a blood thinner. And why is it a blood thinner? That's how they kill rats. They put it, Coumadin goes in warfarin. It creates bleeding within the rats bleed out and they die. Well, the same thing happens with humans. If you're on Coumadin and you get cut, and we had a friend that this happened to, you could bleed out before you can get the telephone and call for assistance. So when I found out about D3, I wasn't totally shocked, but I was not happy to know that I had been misled so greatly. So I did some more research on it recently and learned that it also causes kidney stones. Isn't that interesting? And I happen to have that. So, 1 and 1 is still 2, right? 2 and 2 is still 4. So I believe that this is probably a huge source of where this kidney stone has come from. And there's probably more to come after this to flush these out. So, just because they say
in this amazing planet of ours, I know it's been a huge start for lots of people, and other people are sort of still trying to catch up and saying, oh yeah, here we go again, another new year, another time to sort of try and put some plans in motion. Whatever it may be for you, it is a time of renewal. It is a time of brand new opportunities. It's a time to reboot everything, to sort of look at things through a fresh set of eyes, and don't sort of take things for granted. I think that's probably the one thing that we learned during COVID was you can't take anything for granted. 1 minute we're free as a bird and the next minute we're all locked up in a cage or locked up in our homes. So, we should never ever forget that and take anything for granted. And I think we should all try and live each day to the fullest in every possible way. So I'm excited to announce this week's Simply Tarot card of the week. It's one of most people's favourites because it's connected to money. And isn't money one of the things that makes the world go round? We can say it doesn't, but it certainly does. So it's the card of money contentment, or the card of signing a monetary agreement. Now, because it's the beginning of the year, and I know a lot of people are going back into new contracts with their work and things like that, it can mean that for those people that are looking to sign a contract with work or enter a new enterprise bargaining agreement or something along those lines connected with their employment situation. But for many of us, it's just really rebalancing the family budget, isn't it? I mean, we've had a big spend up over the holiday season, and now we've got to knuckle down and get the credit cards down and start to put money away for the remainder of 2024. So it's a time there where, oh, good, we can all exhale now. Things are going to get a lot easier. Things are going to be more manageable. They're within striking distance of us being able to control things. And I think that's the important thing with, the world in such uncertain turmoil. With all the conflict that's going on around the world, we just want a little bit of continuity. We just want a little bit of time that we can sort of say, I can breathe a little bit easier. If you are signing a contract, make sure that you read the fine print. I'm a big stickler for anything that's very official or anything that's really important and concerning money. I read it out aloud. That way I find that if there is a mistake, you pick it up, where if you're just skimming over it, reading it, we tend to go too fast and we don't always look and do the sums. And I think that's important, even if it's only for a small amount of money, that we need to make sure that the monetary figures are correct. And it is also applies to anything legal or government that you may need to be dealing with over this next week too. Make sure you check the fine print. But overall, it's a very positive card and a card of bringing more money towards us. Now, it's really, really interesting time now astrologically because we've just had Pluto, the planet of transformation, who has been in Capricorn for a very, very, very long time, has just gone into Aquarius. Now, he entered Aquarius on the 20th of January. Will remain there till September 1 this year, or the 1st of September if you're in my neck of the woods. So it's going to be a sort of a little short taste of what Pluto in Aquarius is going to bring to all of us. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, and I'm not going to say anything like that because Pluto's going to be in Aquarius when he goes back in there after he has a little tiny, sticks his toe back into Capricorn for a little bit of a time towards the end of this year before he starts his really, really long reign in Aquarius up till about 2000, a bit ambiguous. Some people like the Aquarian energy and some people absolutely loathe it. The Aquarian energy is about shaking things up, is not allowing things to stay the same. So it's going to be interesting with Pluto coming here and being very slow moving, wanting to shake things up, where the Aquarian energy is quite impatient and wants everything done yesterday. So I think it's going to be interesting as we see this unfold, because it takes 224 years for Pluto to do one lap of the zodiac. We don't have a lot in history to talk about with Pluto and Aquarius. The only two things I could find was the American Revolution and the French Revolution. Now, who's not to say that we may not see some sort of revolutions around the world during the time when Pluto really beds into Aquarius? I don't think it'll be happening this year, but I think we're going to see some winds of change. Things are going to happen that are going to be unpredictable, and they may very well be connected to things that we think are a sure bet, like an election that we think certainly certain party's going to win, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the dark horse gets up. That's really the types of things that I believe that we can expect to see with Pluto in Aquarius. For mere mortals of the Aquarian zodiac sign, it's going to be a time where, you know, you're really going to have to dig deep into your soul and see what needs changing and what you can let go of and what you can bring to the forefront. I know when Pluto went through Sag, it was a very uplifting time, but also a time of great upheaval. And for me personally, I learned a lot during that time when Pluto was in Sag. And I think it was a very maturing time, but it was also a time when you couldn't predict anything. You know, you could say that, okay, I've been working really, really well with this energy of Pluto, and Pluto didn't give up on that lesson till the last second. So don't take anything for granted, I suppose, is my message there. Okay, so the sun is in Aquarius at the moment, which is really nice because it's happy birthday to all the Aquarians. Now, Pluto is actually holding hands or conjunct the sun. So Pluto's starting to give you a little bit of a sneak preview of what's to come. Just enjoy your birthday month. Just go with what feels right to you. If it feels right, do it. If it doesn't, then let it go. I think that's probably the best mantra you can work with at the moment. And then you'll find it a little bit easier to work with this very, very powerful energy. And plus, being your birthday month, you want to get out there and shine a little bit, do you not? We also have Mercury, the planet of communication, is conjunct or holding hands. Mars, the planet of action, is sitting in Capricorn. Now, this will directly affect Capricorns, Tauruses, Virgos, and the opposite sign of Cancer. For the rest of the 8 signs, it will be a lot less. But with Mercury here, conjunct holding hands with Mars means that communication is going to get quite fiery. It can be very intense. It can be very deliberate. We have to be very careful at how we deliver the message. Now, Mercury in Capricorn is a little bit like the school teacher with the red pen that says you've either got a tick or a cross. So you have to be very, very careful here that how you communicate things, particularly in this next 7 days, particularly for those 4 signs that I mentioned, make sure that your details are super, super correct. If something's wrong, fix it immediately. Don't just leave it to chance. Just don't hope that they'll not see that and gloss over the top, because it'll end up causing more complications further down the track for you. Make sure everything is precise. We also have Mercury in Capricorn is sitting in opposite, or it's like a seesaw motion, a push-pull motion, with the opposite sign of Cancer, with the moon, the emotional planet, sitting in Cancer. So it's interesting because you've got moon conjunct Mars, and both of those planets are sort of sitting in opposition to the emotions. So it could be a very emotional issue that maybe you're dealing with, that you have to find very careful ways of communicating. If it's a really important subject and you know it's going to be a bit tricky on the emotional front, don't go in like the bull in the china shop. Tread softly, softly, carefully, carefully, and then that way you'll get better results. If you go in there all bombastic and all guns are blazing, you won't get anywhere fast, and it's just going to end up in an argument, and that's the last thing that we want. We don't want to see things ending up in a disagreement. Now, it's really, really interesting because we have lots of planetary configurations at the moment, and a lot of them are going to feel quite intense. This next one is going to sort of lighten the load a little bit, and I want to bring this in for everybody, even though it will directly affect Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio, and the opposite sign of Virgo. It will also affect the earth signs, which is Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, but it will also affect the opposite sign there, again, bringing in the Scorpio influence. So it's going to affect Scorpios probably a little bit more than it is the other signs, but it flows across to all the 12 signs. And Saturn is sitting in Pisces at the moment. So Saturn is the planet of discipline, of structure, of bringing some sort of order to our lives, but it's in a creative energy, and it's sort of saying, well, let's find some creative solutions that maybe need a little bit of structure, that maybe need a little bit of a helping hand to sort of just ground them so that we can get the absolute most out of what we're trying to achieve, which is a very good thing at the moment. And it's making a beautiful aspect, which is known as a sextile, to Jupiter, the planet of opportunity, expansion, and luck, which is sitting in Taurus. Now, anything that sits in Taurus is about what the things that are important to us. It's about our monetary values. It's about our values in life. It's about what's mine's mine, and I don't necessarily want to share it. And, you know, that can be a little bit of a worry. But the most important thing here is that we have the structure to bring about the creative new blossoming ideas, and we have the opportunity to really expand them out in a very, very big way, in a very practical, logical way that maybe, you know, if we've got to go and do the hard sell, or we've got to do a presentation, or we've got to get somebody on board to sort of come across with the funding, they're really looking at what you've got to say and how you're presenting yourself, and the more professional and more polished you can come across, the better the chances are of you being able to achieve that. And it's good. So, you know, there's lots of opportunities there, and that flows across to the 12 signs. If you've got something that you've got a presentation, or something you want to ask your boss, or something you want to bring about in your life, then make sure that you try and do this in a positive sort of way at the moment. Don't look at it in such a negative.